So this video is for the running stitch, and the running stitch is really wonderful for giving texture. You can also use it to fill in areas as it's been done right here, where it's just stitched really close together and alternating. And you can have a lot of options too with getting a little wild with it and creating different forms of texture with it. So let's begin. I've drawn the lines on here so you can see what I'm working with, but when you're working with the running stitch, since it's an over-under and you're going to have an exposed area, you're probably not going to want to draw really thick solid lines. Maybe just a faint line with a light pencil will work. So with the running stitch, I'm going to come out at the end of my stitch. And this is probably one of the most basic and simple stitches. You just go in, using your finger on the other side of the fabric to push the needle up and then pull through. And that is it. Your entry point is one stitch ahead, your exit point is one stitch down. You can even do multiple stitches on the needle at one time if you want to. This works best with thinner fabrics. You're going to have a little trouble if you try it with thick fabrics. And I'm going to turn the corner. So to turn the corner to the next row of running stitches, I'm just going in and then coming right out on the end of that line. Because I like to do them alternating, so they kind of do-si-do, that means that the edge of each line is going to be a little bit off. So what I mean by alternating is every place where there was a stitch here, there's going to be a gap on this line. So since there's a gap here, there's going to be a stitch on this line. And so on and so forth. And again, I'm using my finger in the back to kind of push the needle up when I need to move it out places. You can change the stitch length if you want. You can have a different gap than stitch length. There's really so many options that you can do with this stitch. It seems really simple, but it's almost deceptively simple because there are so many options. You can make it as complicated as you want. One of the really fun ways that I like to use this stitch is as a filler, as I showed you before on the sample. So I'm going to fill in this area over here with running stitches. So when I do a filler, I usually make the gap in the stitch much smaller. So it's just going to be picking up, I'm going to make a longer stitch length, and the gap is just picking up a few threads of the fabric. Like that. And then turning around, again, the stitches are going to be a little bit different. If you're filling in an area though, you're going to stop at the edge of wherever the area goes, and then you just make little half stitches. So, in, out, in, out. And you see how the alternating stitches is really becoming a lot more required in this area. The alternating stitches really allows it to fill it in, and I'm going as close as possible as I can to the stitches of the previous row. So you're still seeing a little bit of the background fabric. The idea is not to completely cover it, but just to really give a beautiful texture to it. Okay, and I think I'm going to end this because you can kind of get the idea of how this is working out. So yeah, that's what it looks like when you're filling the area with a running stitch. So now I'm going to show you how to do the seed stitch, which looks like this. It's sort of a chaotic running stitch. So it's just, again, an in and out of the needle. I'm going to come up, I'm going to start on one side of here and come out. And again, this is not something that I would usually draw before using on an embroidery. I would just maybe indicate the area that it was happening. But when you're learning, you really want to get an idea of what this should look like. So you're going to want to draw it out first. So that way you don't get as confused. Okay, where is my needle supposed to go in? Where is it supposed to come out? Now you know that the needle comes out on one end of the strip and goes in on the other. And again, there's really no rhyme or reason. In fact, the rhyme and reason is consistent inconsistencies. If you looked at the back of this fabric right now, it would be total chaos, and that's okay. That's why the seed stitch is great for thicker fabrics, because if it's something that you can see through to the back of the fabric, it's gonna kind of ruin the effect and make it look a little more chaotic. So I'm doing the seed stitch here where they aren't touching each other, but if you wanted to get really crazy, you could do something where they all overlapped or they were all really, really close together. There's really so many options to do with the running stitch, and I encourage you to explore them all. All right, and that is my last stitch.
Want to know more about designing your own embroideries? Be sure to check out my latest book, The Art of Embroidery Design, or find a little magic in your threads with my best-selling book, Mystical Stitches. You can also sign up for my totally free creative embroidery workshops, Enchanted Blooms or Mythic Creatures. Head to mixedcolor.net for more. Oh, and I think this is the point where I'm supposed to ask you to like and subscribe, I guess? I don't know. I'm new to this.